visions. I've seen it in my manifestation. I'm sleeping this guy and going to create the most viral knockout ever. Sparring.
That's what we need.
We're sparring.
Warm up.
Some
I know
8-year-olds. I got the 8-year-olds in there.
If I find out anything, I'm going to beat your ass. And I'm going to beat Jaden on Love. And my mama, I'm going to beat both of y'all ass.
Impact takes legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out.
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
Gervonta Davis has erupted after Jake Paul allegedly claimed he'd knock him out within just 3 rounds. A bold statement that's intensified the hype surrounding their upcoming showdown. Critics argue this fight puts Davis's legacy at risk, as elite fighters rarely take on opponents with Paul's limited resume. A loss, they say, would cast a shadow over his accomplishments. Yet, if Davis can overcome Paul's size, strength, and relentless confidence, the victory would be monumental. Not just another win, but a defining moment that cements his place in boxing history and silences every doubter once and for all.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinch? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight, can drop a heavyweight. There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks,
The answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion in multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Jay, the champ, even you, Jim, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you. You're probably going down if you're a small guy if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned, Mike?
Jake Paul has escalated the tension by boldly claiming he'll deliver the knockout of the year when he steps into the ring with Gervonta Davis. This isn't just another fight for him. It's a statement. Paul wants a defining moment that dominates headlines and silences critics. His fiery declarations make it clear he views this bout as his ultimate test, a chance to prove he belongs among real boxers. By promising a spectacular knockout, Paul isn't only betting on his power but on his ability to turn the sport's spotlight completely toward himself.
Because this thing is going to be watched by hundreds of millions globally. Jake, give the people one thing that you can guarantee that they're going to get on November 14th when they tune in to Netflix.
Yeah, you're going to see the 2 biggest fighters in America go head-to-head with an amazing card. World championship fights back to back, and that's just how the MVP way we do it. And I'm gonna come for a knockout of the year again. I've seen it in my visions, I've seen it in my manifestation. I'm sleeping this guy and gonna create the most viral knockout ever.
Rolly Romero has spoken out about the potential fallout if Jake Paul were to knock out Gervonta Davis, insisting it wouldn't damage Tank's legacy. He reminded fans that Davis is already a 3-division world champion and one of boxing's most respected names. In interviews and Instagram reels, Romero stressed that one loss, even a shocking knockout, can't erase years of dominance, accomplishments, and championship success across multiple weight divisions.
Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him. Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or like all that stuff, right? At the end of it, bro, we just want to do what's best for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Right or wrong?
Facts.
So just do what's best.
Raleigh Romero has shared a balanced perspective on the upcoming clash between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis, insisting that no matter the outcome, Tank's legacy remains untouchable. As a multi-division world champion with proven accomplishments, Davis has already cemented his place in boxing history. Romero argues that Tank doesn't need this fight to validate his greatness, though he acknowledges Paul's considerable size advantage. Still, he maintains that physical disparities can't overshadow the years of skill, dominance, and discipline Davis has displayed throughout his career.
But like, Jake Paul might be too big for him, or Tank might crack him. You don't know. Like I said, like, or it's an exhibition. We don't know if they throw at each other or not, or we don't know. I don't know. I can't give an opinion because I don't know what's going on.
Do you think it impacts, like, will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were, like, to beat him or even, like, knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
Daniel Cormier was visibly shocked upon hearing that Gervonta Davis would be facing Jake Paul. In a recent clip, DC called the matchup ridiculous, describing it as a clear mismatch and questioning why a top-tier professional like Tank would agree to fight an influencer boxer. Cormier admitted he never imagined a crossover bout like this for someone of Davis's caliber. He also voiced concern about the significant size and power gap, suggesting the spectacle might risk overshadowing the credibility and legacy Davis has built throughout his boxing career.
I swear to God, I was on a plane coming home from Las Vegas when Luis told me Gervonta Davis is fighting Jake Paul. I said, get the bleep out of here. I said, you're a bleep liar. Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. Gervonta Davis is that much better than Jake Paul at boxing. But Gervonta Davis in his last fight weighed 133.8 pounds. And I'm not over here in the business of just crapping on Jake Paul. I am much more respectful of what he's starting to build as a professional boxer. You're fighting a guy that's better than you. He's just much smaller. But that guy, because he's better than you, what if he wins? Everything Jake Paul has done is wiped completely out. Gervonta Davis loses to Jake Paul. Obviously, it's going to hurt who Gervonta Davis is. But he lost to a guy that's going to be upwards of 70 pounds bigger than him when he steps into the boxing ring. But I will tell you this right now, without a shadow of a doubt. I will watch this. Tank Davis is 30-0-1. You want to talk about Jake Paul fighting a real boxer? That's a real boxer. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's true. They're fighting.
Kesai criticized how hype and spectacle dominate crossover boxing, blurring the line between sport and entertainment. In a recent video, he accused Jake Paul of damaging influencer boxing, claiming Paul's promotional tactics twist narratives for attention instead of highlighting true athletic competition, ultimately undermining the sport's credibility and genuine competitive spirit.
AJ and Jake was never gonna happen.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought it was actually gonna happen? Well, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like so many people just believe everything online.
But that's pretty unbelievable on the other hand.
I feel like I know. Well, okay, how do I say it like this? Itoma versus White. I had a lot of people bet on White winning. And I'm there like, you guys don't watch boxing, do you? You just look at a record and go, oh, Dylan's fought many more people than Itoma. That record says a lot. Itoma's like 18, not 18, Itoma's 20, inexperienced, round one. Like, I just knew Itoma was gonna just destroy him. And I think a good fight for Itoma would be him and Wilder.
Journalist Gareth A. Davies voiced strong concerns about the upcoming Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis fight, calling it another instance of boxing valuing spectacle over substance. He highlighted the clear weight disparity and the exhibition nature of the bout as factors that compromise the sport's fairness and integrity. While Davies acknowledged that the event will likely draw mainstream attention and significant revenue, He warned that such matchups ultimately damage boxing's reputation as a serious and competitive athletic discipline.
I think we've gone out of the frying pan and into the fire because we thought we were going to get Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua very soon. We'll speak to Frank Smith about that in the next section, obviously. Eddie Hearn was teasing it to me personally last week, £80 million on the table for Anthony Joshua to fight Jake Paul, but 8 inches in height difference, 7 weight divisions between them, 5 stone, 70 pounds between them. It's a joke. It's a circus fight as opposed to a disgrace of a fight, which was Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. At least you feel in this you've got quite a poor, very big one against a pound-for-pound, brilliant, unbeaten little un. And the little un who'll come up to his navel will hit him with a lot of body shots. I said in the week to Danny Kelly and Charlie Brooker that, do I mean Charlie Brooker? No,
Baker.
Charlie Baker. That Charlie Brooker's a different person altogether. That he'll be throwing the Superman punch, the leaping left hook. It's going to be a very odd thing. It's called, in inverted commas, an exhibition bout. But everybody in boxing who is a name doesn't mind going in with Jake Paul because they know they're making millions of dollars. And that's the only reason that Gervonta Davis, who's being called the poison little elf by Jake Paul, and it'll be fun in the build-up. Everybody in boxing knows they're guaranteed to make millions of those silverbacks, those greenback notes that they give out in America, and they give them out for fun when Jake Paul fights. So he's not going to say no to it. But can you pick a winner in that fight?
Tank Davis has openly admitted there are several things about his upcoming fight with Jake Paul that genuinely concern him. He's repeatedly mentioned Jake's punching power, saying he wants to test just how hard Paul can hit once they're in the ring. Tank has also acknowledged the size and reach difference, noting that he's never faced someone with Jake's physical advantages in a matchup like this. Beyond that, he recognizes that Paul moves differently from traditional boxers and carries a mental toughness that has rattled past opponents. Despite those concerns, Tank insists that come November 14th, he'll adapt, rise to the moment, and bring everything he has. For him, this isn't just another fight. It's a chance to prove that elite boxers can overcome unconventional challengers who break the mold. Meanwhile, supporters of the Paul vs. Davis fight argue that this matchup symbolizes the new face of boxing. Jake Paul, with his roots in social media and entertainment, attracts younger fans who rarely watch traditional boxing. His crossover success has introduced a fresh generation to the sport. At the same time, Gervonta Davis, known for his raw, authentic personality, connects with viewers who value grit and genuine passion over polished marketing.
When a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta Tank Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they're putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix.
Does Jake Paul have that concerns you? What concern me? His power. Gotta test his power. Gotta test his just everything. To be honest, I never been in the ring with Jake, so I could say a lot. But when it comes down to November the 14th, I gotta be in there with him. I gotta be able to, his arm reach, his size, his power, the way he move and things like that. I just gotta adapt, as I fight him come.
Nikki Sabadarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, confidently dismissed concerns about Jake Paul's size advantage over Gervonta Davis. He argued that size won't be a decisive factor against a skilled fighter like Davis, explaining that Paul requested a heavier catchweight only due to his relative inexperience. Bidarian also revealed that the Paul vs. Davis matchup wasn't a sudden decision but had been in development for years. After a potential fight with Canelo Alvarez fell through, the opportunity to face Davis emerged naturally, as Tank had long been pushing for the bout.
Jake and Tank are gonna happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, it's gonna be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro exhibition. We're gonna make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, the gloves, and the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? The reason I ask is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight, and after his fight, in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight. And people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing? And has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't going to happen and came back? Or was this always the plan?
It's always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude. And he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. People, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big. For so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul. Now you get to see if that's real. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Nikki Sabidarian acknowledges that the size difference between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis is undeniable. Paul is naturally heavier, taller, and has a longer reach. But Bidarian believes Davis holds a clear advantage in skill, experience, and ring IQ. Tank has been a decorated professional for over a decade, competing at lightweight, winning multiple world titles, and maintaining a near-flawless record filled with highlight reel knockouts. His adaptability, speed, and elite timing have allowed him to dismantle opponents across different styles. Meanwhile, although Jake Paul continues to gain experience, he hasn't faced opponents anywhere near Davis's caliber. Still, some fans across social media claim Davis is avoiding top-tier contenders in favor of a more lucrative fight with Jake Paul. Critics argue that money, not legacy, drives this decision. Yet others counter that such accusations ignore Davis's proven accomplishments. His undefeated record, championship pedigree, and willingness to take on difficult challenges, and that dismissing his legacy over one crossover fight unfairly discredits one of boxing's most successful modern champions.
Fight no Shakur Stevenson, no Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis's whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was alright, but he was never like that. He was okay. He was some trash, he was some trash, he ain't did nothing. Hey, that's just what it's gonna be at the end of the day.
However, these criticisms often overlook what Gervonta Tank Davis has already achieved. He's captured multiple world titles, maintained an undefeated professional record, and produced spectacular knockouts that showcase his elite skill and ring intelligence. Choosing a high-profile, attention-grabbing fight now doesn't erase those accomplishments or tarnish the legacy he's built through years of dedication. In today's boxing landscape, where media presence, promotion, and entertainment weigh nearly as much as athletic ability, there are many paths to greatness. Jake Paul, on the other hand, insists that championship belts don't define him. He believes his impact on boxing is already historic, citing record-breaking pay-per-view numbers, mainstream visibility, and the sport's newfound popularity among younger audiences. Paul has beaten well-known names such as Anderson Silva and even Mike Tyson in a sanctioned bout, moments many argue transcend traditional title pursuits. When offered an honorary WBA belt, Paul declined, stating he wanted to earn any recognition that truly mattered, not simply be handed it.
Give me credit until I have the world championship belt. But that's okay, it doesn't matter. But belts collect dust, and what I've done in the sport is unprecedented. Never will be replicated, and done it in such a short amount of time, just getting warmed up. they're not going to give me credit. I don't need the credit from these bozos, to be honest. The credit's in my bank account.
Jake Paul has already shifted his focus beyond Gervonta Davis, publicly naming Anthony Joshua as his next target. The announcement sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Some mocked the idea, while others admired his ambition. Considering Joshua's elite credentials and massive size advantage, many see the matchup as unrealistic. Yet it aligns perfectly with Paul's pattern of chasing high-profile opponents to boost his legitimacy.
Anytime, any place, against all odds. And I like my odds. First, I'm gonna kill David. Then I will go on to slaughter Goliath. Okay, so you have to think that the last one, first I'm gonna kill David, referring to Gervonta Davis, and then he's gonna go on and slay Goliath, referring to Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, and
he's gonna go and fight a 140er, and then move up 135er, and then move up and fight a heavyweight.
So the lowest he's been, I went through all the fights. For his first two fights, his first two pro fights, he was 175. Now this is all the way back in 2020 against Nate Robinson. Since then, the lowest he's been, as you said, was like the 185 around the Nate Diaz fight, and also for Tommy Fury. I wonder if Jake can get down to that weight anymore. But regardless of Jake's weight, I can't fathom how Tank Davis would be anywhere in the realm of what he would be. Like, it just, he won't even be in earshot of what Jake Paul is going to be.
What do you think? Is Gervonta Davis making a smart career move that expands his legacy? Or is this risky crossover fight a dangerous gamble?